Now I turn to Martin Brechbiel, MMR, for his Scratch Building Corner. Martin, welcome.
Thank you, Jim. Well, anywho, on to the next project, I believe, and I think that might be what the next slide says. If I get the next slide. Yes, on to the next structure. I'm going to stay on structures for July, simply because that's what I have available. And we're going to start with these parts. There's some leftovers and odds and ends. I got one of these windows. Okay, well, one lonely window does not make much of a project. Station or house door? Well, it's going to be neither, probably at the end of the day or at the end of the project. It'll be a business of some sort. I have a drawer full of, well, not full anymore, but of odds and ends of shutters that I bought for a project, 5, 8 years ago, and there's still scraps left over. These shutters just barely match up with that window. So we're going to use up some of those to make some of those go away. And then I had a leftover window from Tichy, a work car window. Nice thing about the some of the Tichy windows is that they come with laser cut glazing and shade material, which makes life incredibly more pleasant, because glazing windows I find to be one of the most tedious exercises possible. So without further ado, we're going to use clapboard. This is just Midwest clapboard. I bought a couple of bundles of it, 4 years ago, 5, I don't remember, before it went ridiculously expensive. And I think I paid for a bundle of 10 what they now charge for a single piece, which is crazy. But okay, I was managed to be smart enough at the time to grab a couple of bundles, thinking, I could use this someday. And it doesn't take up too much room back in the corner against the wall. So we cut some out, and there's some 3/32 square stock and some 1x3 stock here to build up the front wall into 3 different sections. Cut some holes out, drop the window and the door in, make sure it fits. You'll almost always find that later it doesn't fit, because after you painted it, the wood swells a little bit, or you get paint around the edges and you have to go clean it back open. But you make it fit pretty decently now, and don't worry about fixing it later. You have room to fix it, don't worry about it until later. Back wall over here to the right, 2 side walls to the left. Pretty straightforward. Sort of a rectangular box, almost square, in fact. But we're going to add a little side addition off the facing the front of the building. It'd be to the right side. That's just board and batten. I've been trying to desperately use up the last of my northeastern board and batten without much success. I keep finding more of the doggone stuff in the box of siding. But that's where the work car window goes. So we cut a hole out, drop that in place, and make sure it fits, and we're all good. Oh yeah, so we'll go back to Sherry's note. I'm using scalpels. Just in case nobody remembers, I love using a scalpel. I'm using number 11, number 10, number 15, and number 23 scalpels, and lots of adhesive tape in case you slip on the glass. The only best thing about a scalpel is it does not roll off your bench. It's got a flat handle, so it's not going to land in your foot unless you drop it, and it goes through your shoe into your foot. And yeah, I've done it once, right through the shoe. Okay, so flip these things over, and I'm trying to use up the last of my misbegotten bundle of balsa wood that I bought by mistake, but it makes great bracing and glue surface area. So we just add this to the back and outline where the roof is going to go and where the sides are going to lay in against the front and the back. Nice thing about balsa is when you use carpenter's glue, tight bond 1 or 2, it sets up very, very quickly, and you don't have to spend hours waiting for it to set. And you can just keep right on rolling. And we do some inner framing for the addition on the front and back walls as well. I mean, while you're cutting up balsa with a razor saw, you might as well just keep right on going and gluing it right up. Okay, we'll put some walls together. Okay, or put some wall together. Plural, walls. Next time, fix that. Okay, we'll glue this all up with carpenter's glue since we have all this nice gluing surface available. We don't need to use goo and CA. Carpenter's glue works just fine for this type of surface area now. You don't have to depend upon modeling glues for when you've got 3/16 of an inch. You've got plenty of surface area for Titebond to grab and hold, and a couple of weights up against the sides, and everything holds tightly. You can adjust it, make sure it's square with your modeler square on the inside, outside, whichever floats your boat, and let it sit for a while before moving forward. But I don't think we're going to move much further forward tonight. You can see, oh, that was interesting. Trackball has a mind of its own, sort of like my subconscious. So it moves right along. It's all glued up. This is the view from the other side. You can see, doggone it. The thing is out of control tonight. I'm not afraid to touch it now. So you can see, actually I have to touch it. Well, you son of a gun. Okay, trigger finger on the trackball system here. This roof area actually drops just below this crossover piece, so there's room for it to lay nice and flat here. We'll come back to that later. And I guess I'm going to the next slide, whether I want to or not. The trackball is decided for me, and I decided after the fact, let's add a back door, because you always need somewhere to go out the back door when the tax collector comes in the front door. And so we added this to the back. You have to relieve a little bit of the balsa bracing at the base because the Grant line casting is actually a little deeper than the clapboard. So you have to carve a little bit out. So it's a quick draw the razor saw across the surface twice, left and right. Take the number 11 scalpel, slice out a little section. The casting drops in, and I think it's just a regular 5-panel door. So there we go. And we're done for tonight. We'll see you next week.
Any questions for Martin? You're doing a beautiful job, Martin.
Well, this stuff is all a lot easier than it can be made out to be much, much, much more difficult than it really is. This is a lot easier than some people think.
And it's much cheaper.
Well, if you're not afraid to buy bundles of, bundles of 10 by 3 foot long pieces of clapboard and other stuff and stick, it doesn't take up a lot of room, but sometimes it's worthwhile buying some bulk materials as opposed to individual pieces, because the thing is, you buy 4. The problem is you need 5. Then you got to buy 8. And then you have 3 left over. So if you have 3 left over, you make an extra building. Problem solved.
Absolutely. You'll use it sometime. Thanks, Martin.
Okay.